All right. Hello, YouTube. So, I had some issues, unfortunately, with trying to go live and live stream. And I think this is something that's happened before. It's an encoder issue. It's a work in progress, but unfortunately, it was taking up too much time to try to get it to work. So, I do apologize. So, you get a filmed deal, and then I will go back and I will actually read your comments and answer any questions and everything in the chat and comment section. So I do apologize for that. But I'm going to start with an introduction. My name is Victoria Kreideman, for those that don't know. I am the owner-operator of Sony Vita Productions, which is located in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, in the EUP. Yes, Canada is my neighbor. And Sony Vita Productions is a mobile unit, actually. I travel to Brimley, I've traveled to Rudyard, and I travel around quite a bit, actually, throughout the year, and I offer services. Services offered include Zumba. I am licensed in Zumba B1, in addition to many additional specialty licenses, specialty classes, as well as special programs that were created by Zumba, but are in themselves their own entity, and that includes Zumbini, which is a mommy and me class for ages 0 through 4 years, and you can actually watch episodes for that on Baby First TV. And Strong by Zumba, which is Zumba's latest program that's come out, and they've actually opened it up to non-Zumba instructors as well. So really, anybody that has gone through the training and has done their AFA group exercise, which is highly recommended, not just by me, but by Zumba itself, and after taking the training I can tell you why. But it's open for any non-Zumba instructor to teach. It is a high-intensity interval training, or high-intensity tempo training, as we like to say. And the theory behind it is that it is music-led, that music drives the person to push their body to their most limits, and it does. It's a really good program. I'm really excited for it, and it is one that will be offered at LSSU later this fall. Hopefully if all goes well, along with some other Zumba classes that are scheduled that I will be offering as well there. So that's a little bit about me, but today is a talk day. Today I want to have a talk, and I want to discuss what not to do at a parade. I will be addressing both the parade participants, the ones that are actually in the parade and going down the street, as well as spectators, people that come to watch the parade and enjoy the fun and the celebrations. And this is something that is really a major safety issue, and it's one everybody should really be aware of. And in all honesty, a lot of it is common sense, but a lot of times in the heat of the moment, it's out the window. It's gone. And this really comes on the heels of the parade that I was in this past Tuesday. Every year, I have participated, since I moved up here to Sault Ste. Marie and began my business. Every year I participated in the Independence Day Parade. It's an annual tradition, and it's something really exciting for me. I'm a small business owner, and as such, it's a great time to connect with the community, let them know I am here, let them know what services are offered. So yeah, there's a little marketing involved in it as well. And I put a lot of time and effort into making sure that my car or my float are decorated, that they are festive, that they have all the correct lettering and everything that needs to be on there, and information to give to the public to let them know what's coming up and what services are in fact offered. So this is a really annual fun time for me, and it's a very important time. And it's not just me. There's other local small businesses and companies, even bigger companies, as well as you have your organizations, your groups, 4-H. There's quite a few people, and it's great. It's really a lot of fun. Sorry, my Bluetooth was live. My Bluetooth is dying. Sorry. But this past parade, I had a really scary experience. Let's put it that way. It was a really scary experience this year participating in the parade, and it was something that really, put upon me to really, to put this video out there and to share with you guys my concerns, to share with you guys this really common sense, but some of it may not be, but to share this information, this safety advisory for you guys, whether you are participating in the parade or whether you are watching the parade. Because I did have a really dangerous situation occur for pretty much 50 to 75% of the time in the parade, and I want to make sure, if I can help it, to avoid that situation again. Not just here in the Sioux, but for other people around the country or around the world, if you're a part of a parade, that you can help and spread the word to others to help make sure that this does not happen to you. So, basic story, what happened in the parade. We were set more towards the front of the parade. My husband was riding in the car. I didn't do anything fancy this year. It was just me in my car, which was all decorated up with, the Zumba banner and information, and the magnets that said when classes were coming to LSSU, and as well as a couple of special events, which include a hula dance workshop and a new Zumbini class coming this fall. And so my husband was with me, and we were set more towards the front. I would say probably 10-15 minutes in the parade. I'm not entirely sure how long it was, but we were set in front of a group who will remain unnamed because I really don't remember the organization, but a group of people that were walking. They had a float, and they had people that were walking in the parade as well. One person was pulling his child in a wagon. Another person was riding a bike, and it was a really cute float. It was really great, and they were behind a school bus. And so this group, what they were doing, all the participants who were walking or riding a bike had candy or bottled water that they were distributing to the public. Not a big deal, really. And it's, not uncommon, and I have nothing against that in particular. However, the method of how it was done was quite concerning. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But basically what happened was the candy was distributed not by handing it to the public, but by throwing it from the middle of the road, which caused the public to come into the street. And it was not just children, but adults as well, grown adults, who would run into the street and start collecting all these goodies off the ground. And in the process, either not paying attention that my vehicle was coming up on them and about to hit them, or just not caring about the parade itself. And so they would get in front of the vehicle, and they would actually hold up the parade line because they were so busy getting all these free goodies that they were not concerned about their safety or the safety of others, and they were actually delaying the parade. So this was a really bad deal. It was actually a very, it could have been a really serious situation. I had a couple of really close calls. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to start because I'm going to address, like I said, both the parade participants as well as the spectators. So let's start with the participants, okay? You guys set the pace for those that are behind you in a parade, okay? Now, this isn't coming from just a person that's been in a parade 3 times. I've been in parades since I was a kid. My grandmother used to drag me to the Cinco de Mayo and the Fiesta parades every year, and so I was always in a parade. I was always dressed up. I was riding in the back of a golf cart, or I was walking. I was doing something. And so this is not just somebody that's saying, okay, here's your information. This is somebody who's been doing parades both here and in Kansas a good portion of her life. So this is stuff that is going to be kind of common knowledge to me, and there's where my authority comes from on this, okay? But you guys set the pace for the parade, okay, and for those that are behind you. So if you slow down or if you stop, the entire line behind you is going to stop, and it's going to hold up the parade. Now, I know that the parade officials that are there that are helping with the lineup and getting everybody going, even as I was getting ready to turn onto Ashman Street, which is the main drag that the parade was going down, guys said, just keep it going, stay close, keep it going. Okay, yeah, you want to stay close because you don't want a big, huge gap in the parade, but at the same time, you don't want to be too close that you're going to run over a person. And that was the case for me, was I had walkers, people walking in front of me. And so at times, I really had to slow down and stop because of the walking people and how they were slowing down and delaying the parade. especially when they're distributing candy and drinks, and a lot of them were actually refilling and restocking on the go. They ran out. And it wasn't just hand out a piece of candy, hand out a piece of candy. No, they were chucking by the handfuls. And unfortunately, they would run out fast, and so they would stop in the middle of the parade, in the middle of the road, to restock. Not advisable, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but because it becomes a safety issue. Again, you're not only setting the pace for the parade, you're also responsible for the safety of your walkers and your parade assistants that are helping you in the parade with you, as well as whoever, those that are watching. So people that are walking, people that are on bikes, people that are pushing their children in strollers or wagons, pulling their children in wagons, you are responsible. If you're the head of that float, you're responsible for those people. You really are. And if walkers and your traveling participants fatigue easy or, burn out, walking may not be the best idea. Now, this group situation was that if they got tired, they were going to jump on the school bus. That in itself, again, is not only a safety hazard, but a delay in the parade as well, because the bus has to stop to let people on. And you want to make sure as a bus driver that your rider gets on the bus safely, walks on the bus safely, and steps up. And if a person has a disability or a stroller with children or a wagon, again, you're going to hold up the line with the delay of getting people on. So trying to get a person on and off of a float or a vehicle while traveling and doing the parade, again, not advisable, as it is a safety hazard to your health. So I've got notes. I'm sorry. I know I'm breaking this down. Again, refilling the candy and the item distribution, again, was hazardous. I had, and it delayed. I had multiple times people that, had handed out all their items to the public and were done within 5-10 minutes of being on the road. And so, yeah, they stopped in the middle of the parade, and they would refill their buckets or their wagon or whatever it was, and then they would keep going. And so, make sure I've got everything here. So here's what I'm going to advise. And my suggestion to you is, if you are a parade participant and you have walkers, please do not have them walk in the middle of the road, okay? Here's the example. The parade started out on a 4-lane road with a center turn lane, okay? And during that time, there was a couple of times that I was actually restricted to the turn lane out of that whole 4-lane road, and the people were on the side of the roads. Again, they chucked candy, though, by the handfuls instead of walking along the sides of the roads to the spectators and to the public to hand out their candy and their items individually. So what ended up happening? All of the people that were on the sidewalk suddenly ran into the street, and it limited me to the turn lane, because if I went outside of the turn lane, my car, I was zigzagging it slowly, and by slowly I mean 2 to 5 miles an hour, but I actually had to end up staying straight in a line at one point because everybody ran up and all the way up to the turn lane out of a 4-lane road, okay? And I mean, seriously, not safe, not advisable. And at one point I had one lady come up to me and she went, "Excuse me, just a minute," and stopped me in front of my vehicle, stopped me in the parade, just a second, so she could start picking up her candy. And I mean, she squat down, stooped down, started picking up candy by the handfuls. She started dropping candy by the handfuls as she's stooping and picking it up. 10, 15, 20 seconds into this, you can't hold a parade up like that. And so it got to the point I actually started honking my horn, beep, 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 letting her know, I have to move, you have to move, okay? So please, do not have your participants and your helpers throw candy by the handfuls from the center of the road. Have them walk along the side of the road and hand the candy out individually. And here's another little tip. If you hand things out one by one to people, flyers, candy, bottle of water, individually, you're going to connect with your community one-on-one a lot better, and you are going to be able to, they're going to remember you a lot more because you came up and you took a couple seconds to say, hi, happy 4th of July, happy Merry Christmas, whatever it is that you're doing, you know. Here you are, have a great day. Oh, you look hot and thirsty. Here, have a bottle of water. It's going to work out a lot better. And not to mention, it's going to keep your walkers safe. Because the person who's driving or walking behind isn't going to hit somebody. And oh, on that one, I actually had a walker lag because she went back to hand candy to more people. And I'm assuming it was somebody that she knew well. We finally got to a point where I could start kind of zigzagging a little bit. And even then, if I'm going straight, this person comes running up to go reconnect with her group and get more candy. She's going to cut in front of me. Doesn't matter if I'm zigzagging or going straight. She's going to go in front of me. And again, I have to hit the brakes and I have to stop to let her go because technically she's going to be traveling a little bit slower, equal or slower speed. It's going to delay me. And I'm, you know, I don't know how many times I almost hit not just the spectators stupidly running out into the middle of the road, but the parade walkers as well. And so, again, have them go stay along the sides of the road and do what they have to do. If anybody's actually riding on the float, have them start restocking a bag of the candy in advance. So when that person does need a refill, if they need it, that they can run up to the flag, give them the empty bag, and get a fresh bag of stuff and run right back. That way you're not holding up the parade line and they get back into a safety zone much easier. It's also going to eliminate the mess of candy on the road. I don't know how many suckers and other random candy items that I ran over. I honestly expected to find Twizzlers in the grooves of my tires by the time that the parade was over. That's how much candy I ran over. It's going to leave less mess, less clutter on the road for people to run over, and it's not going to break kids' hearts either because I saw their faces just fall when they thought, yes, that car's going to go by and I'm going to get that candy, and then I accidentally ran over their candy because you can only see so much over your hood. It doesn't matter what kind of a vehicle you drive. And their faces just fell, or they got worried, a worried look on their face because they thought, oh my gosh, she's going to run over that candy and then I'm not going to be able to get it. Again, safety, everybody gets what they want, nobody gets hurt. Keep it to the side of the road. Hand it out individually. You're going to have less mess and a safer situation for everybody. When you throw the candy out into the middle of the road and you throw it out by the handfuls just to the side, not really caring about where that candy lies, you're going to incite the public to run into the middle of the road to collect those items. And it's a huge safety risk. It really is. Because if you've got the driver who's driving behind, in my case, I was constantly delayed. And I almost hit people. I had kids and adults alike. It didn't matter. All of a sudden, everybody had the same mindset that they would go to get the candy and they would start picking up candy and they're squatting down, they're bent over, they're looking at the road and they're looking at the candy and they're not looking at the vehicle that's coming their way. 2 to 5 miles per hour can still hurt somebody in some way. Bump, bruise, whatever. Okay, here's the big problem. That, you know, you might think that's not a big idea. Let's talk about liability. Let's talk about insurance. Let's talk about the fact that they could easily, I bumped somebody. You know, they've got a flesh wound now. They've got, a cut. They've got a scrape. They've got a bump. They could potentially go to my insurance company and come after me for it. And then now I've got to pay money out of it for an accident that really wasn't my fault, but I may have to have that. It's a liability risk, and it's a risk that nobody really wants to take or nobody should really take. And yeah, you would think, common sense, people should stay out of the middle of the road when there's a car coming. Not everybody does, and that's just the way it is. So the responsibility really does lie on you as the participant driver, participant leader, participant, period. If you're distributing something, keep it to the side of the road, keep it simple, keep it safe, and less risk of injury, less risk of insurance issues. Okay, so I've covered all that. Public, same thing to you. When you're at a parade, generally most people stay on the sidewalk or right on the edge, sit on the curb, but that's fine. Ashman Street narrows down to a 2-way road eventually. and you've got some cars that are sitting there. And so all of a sudden, the crowd went from being here to being here. And yes, that limited me to staying in a straight line for the most part, which is okay. But again, though, it's almost a claustrophobic thing, that I had a lot of people that were right there near the car. Take a step back, scooch back. Don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. But try to stay on the curbs, stay on the sidewalk, or stay seated on the vehicle that's parked on the side of the road or in it or around it. Don't get in front of it, though. Okay? It's a safety issue. You generally wouldn't stand in the middle of the street to watch a fire truck fly by at 50 miles an hour on an emergency run, right? You generally don't want to stay on the inside of a road when you're getting into a car. You don't want to hover there for too long, right? If you've got oncoming traffic passing, right? It's a common sense thing. And even though a parade goes at 2 to 5 miles an hour, I've never seen a parade go at 10. I could be wrong. But the parade has to move. The parade has to go. And you never know when a float or somebody may be bigger than that, and it may be a risk. So don't get out into the street, and please, for the love of God, do not run into the middle of the street to collect candy that's been thrown at you. And don't allow your children to do it either, okay? If you know you've got kids there, keep an eye on them. Okay, it doesn't matter if they're 2, doesn't matter if they're 5. I had 12-year-olds, I had 16-year-olds running out into the middle of the road to get candy. You don't want them to get hurt. Okay, candy is not worth getting hit by a float going by. It's not worth the injury risk. It's not. I mean, seriously, come on. Really? So, I guess that's really all I have to say. Again, just to recap, it was a pretty scary experience. I was glad that I had my husband with me. You know, I was waving on my side of the car. He was waving on his. And, of course, you know, I want to make sure they say hi to everybody. So I was waving on his and accidentally whacking him in the process, you know. So a lot of funny stuff going on in the car there. But he was also there, and I'm really glad that he was with me to help be an extra set of eyes as I was driving. Because there was a couple times he would actually tell me, watch out. There's somebody on my side. Watch out. Slow down. Hang on. Because I couldn't see them. Vehicles have blind spots. You have people running out into the middle of the road. I had people running out of my blind spot. I really did. And so you got to be careful. Think safety. Think safe. Candy is not worth getting hit by a float for. And as a parade participant, in theory, you really are responsible for making sure that the public stays safe when you're giving them items, you know. Now, I know some event coordinators will say, if you have walkers, please keep them to the sides of the road. Don't have them in the middle of the parade. Don't have them slow it down. This is a really good piece of advice, too. If you have somebody that, like the lady said, she double-backed, the bike person that was riding a bike actually had trouble restarting when she had stopped to make an adjustment to her stuff. She fell behind, and so she had to come up later, but she came up in the middle of the road instead of off to the side. And you might fall behind a couple of floats and have a way to go to catch up. You don't want to be right beside them. You really don't. You never know what's going to happen. You can't tell, and if you're in a person's blind spot, they're not going to see you. And I almost ran over a motorcyclist who was supposed to be ahead with his group. And he was coming up, and I had pictures. I had my poster with all my information on it, and it completely covered my back seat window. Of course, normally you wouldn't have this happen in a normal driving situation, of course, but in a parade, the vehicle's decorated, and the decoration actually blocked my blind spot. I could hear the motorcycle coming. I could not see it, though, until all of a sudden, my husband says, watch out, he's coming up behind. He looked over his shoulder. He was able to see through the third back window. Watch out, somebody's coming, stop. And he was able to help me. I almost hit this motorcycle. Again, stay to the sides of the road. If you miss the parade, you miss the parade, okay? Do not come running in to jump in at the last second. You missed it. Sorry, dude. You can't jump back in like that. You can get hit. And I know I'm not the only vehicle that zigzags down the road. I know I'm not. So please, safety's sake, Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to the community. Keep your walkers to the side of the road. Hand out candy individually. And for the love of God, please, public, do not run out into the middle of the road in the middle of a parade to pick up candy or whatever it may be, to and to either hold up the parade and not pay attention to your surroundings when you're grabbing said item. If you absolutely have to be out there for any reason, pay attention, because you never know what might happen, and there's a lot of bad things that really could have happened. And so that's my rant. That's my speech. That's my advice. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, let me know. I'd be happy to share my thoughts in those details. Again, I'm not trying to point fingers at any specific person, but I know that this has happened. This did happen to me. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that this has happened to, but I would like to really try to see it avoided in the future. Ciao.